Hello.
Hi, 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 hi. Great. So, Amanda, I need to make you a co-host. So let
Mhm.
me do that. Make a co-host. Done?
Uh, it says I can admit people into the room now.
Yes,
So
yes, yes. But please, can you still rename
yes, I have host tools rename.
Amanda? You put also, I put action, so I am on the top of the list of participants. Let me see if I can put you on spotlight. You have already. Did you manage to rename yourself?
I did.
Yes, amazing. Can you can you try to share your slides?
Give
And
me one second.
I can do it, but it's better if you do it so you can click in between. Can I talk to you while you are doing it?
Yeah, you're great.
Is it possible that I say that you are originally from US, from Ohio, and I met you in
Uh,
person this
yeah,
September?
Idaho. I'm from Idaho. Yeah.
Idaho. I saw Idaho. Sorry.
No, 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 you're fine. Um,
And you are an AMI trained elementary guide. And shall I mention that your classroom? No, 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 no. I will not go to detail. So only that I
yeah,
was able to visit your beautiful classroom.
that's great. I have a little section about me. I'm very nervous. I'm an anxious speaker. So I'm better with children than adults. Can you see my screen? I think it shows the
Yes,
top.
yes, 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 yes. Yes, I can.
Is it, and you don't see my Zoom picture?
I see only, do you have it like presentation, like a presentation mode? Yes, you do.
I did. Is
Okay,
that okay?
I think it
Do
is.
you see the top like bar of the
Yes, yes, yes.
thing?
The top bar I can see, but it is visible. Fair
Okay.
enough.
I don't know how to get rid of that.
I'm just, I have a problem to make you a spotlight, maybe because it's only two of us.
Okay.
Because it should be in the more, in the three dots that make a host, make a co-host, rename. Hopefully it will show up when everyone
Yeah, the men.
joins. So I make you a co-host. We check the slide sharing. You want to undo the slide sharing for now?
Mind having it up because this is the room that
Okay.
they're coming into.
Okay, okay. I will be checking. I will be telling them to make sure yeah, they are in the right workshop.
Yeah,
Okay, so can I mention that your speech will be approximately for 30 minutes and then we will have time for question and answers that
yeah,
I kindly ask them to put the questions in only in the chat. I will be gathering them and at the end I will open the Q&A section.
perfect.
Okay, this is where I can, yeah. Please feel free. Yes, yes, yes. I think I can. So, what time shall we start letting people in?
Do we start at 45 or
Actually, yeah,
I can
we start 45. There are already 17 people waiting. So I just want to make sure we check the recording is on. We check the slide sharing, it's already on. I made you a co-host. You renamed yourself. Only I have a little issue with the spotlight. If I will be able to spotlight you, I hope I will be. It's no other way. Where can it be? Only
I I also think if we just have everybody mute, it will automatically
be the option.
be the main thing.
Okay.
Blur.
Okay, let me know when you're ready. Oh, I hate this.
It's yeah, 10 minutes of small chat, a small talk.
10 minutes.
Um,
Mhm.
and if it's 35 right now, and let's see, I can't.
Let me
I'm
see.
ready. I'll ask the chat. When are we supposed to let people in?
So, shall I start letting them in? Is there something?
Sure.
Idaho, Idaho. Well, if I say
If you say Ohio,
Ohio,
it's okay. I don't mind. I don't mind.
okay, I stick with the US.
Okay, let's see.
Okay, let's make it 38 and I'll let people in. Okay.
Yeah, I'm glad I'm going to be in a smaller room than someone just said they have
I
58 and I'm
actually, when
glad.
I look at the workshop themes, I would definitely go for yours.
I don't know. I'm I was like, most people will be there. They'll be like, we don't need to build a community. It's great. We're fine.
Okay. So, shall we?
Let's let them in.
Okay.
I can help. Should we just admit all?
Yes, I did. Hello, welcome everyone. Hello. It's great to have you
Hello.
here. Hello. Thank you for joining our workshop on how to build a new elementary classroom with Amanda Kirchner. Hello,
Welcome, everybody.
everyone.
Hello.
Welcome. If you wish, you can write us in the chat. Where are you from? If you are really a teacher trying to build a new classroom. So, and where you are from? There are some people. There's someone from India. Welcome. You are joining the workshop with Amanda on how to build work environment in a new classroom, new elementary classroom. Please welcome. There's someone from Romania, Alessandra, welcome.
Thank you.
Wonderful. Well, welcome. We are very excited to have you all here. In Switzerland, somebody is going to open and start a classroom in Switzerland. Hello from Croatia. Hello. Great. Romania, Greece. Wow, look at that. We have already 25 of you. Welcome. We shall be beginning in 6 minutes, 5 minutes now. So, India again. Welcome, welcome, welcome. British Columbia, Canada. Wow, wonderful. All over the world. New classrooms are emerging. That's exciting. Please make sure you join the right workshops. There were many to choose from. We will be talking about how to start a new Montessori elementary classroom. So welcome. It's going to be a very exciting presentation. The presentation will be approximately for 30 minutes. And please write all of your questions you have in our chat. I will be gathering all the questions and if they are similar, summarizing them. And there will be a Q&A section at the end of our workshop. So please feel free to write all of your questions. Saudi Arabia, welcome, welcome. That's exciting. That's exciting. So it's about 25 of us, so it will be a nice international discussion about starting elementary classroom. Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is workshop on how to start a new elementary classroom. Australia, we got the Australia. That's amazing.
Late. It's late for you.
It is. Wow, wow, wow,
Or I guess early, however you want to look at it.
wow. Wow, welcome, welcome, welcome. So we will be starting in about 3 minutes. So please feel free to get comfortable. Amanda will be starting soon. Lithuania, finally.
Lithuanian, come visit.
I haven't seen anyone from Slovakia. No. This is where I'm from currently. So I see no technical issues on your side. You can hear us, you can see our presentation. Amazing. Okay. We still have someone in the waiting room. Hello, welcome. Mirela, where are you from? You can write us. Daniel is joining. Hello, Danielle. So we have 3 minutes, 2 minutes to start. Welcome to the workshop on how to build a new elementary Montessori classroom. Please make sure you are in the right one. There are many interesting workshops to choose from. Welcome, Lithuania. If you haven't sent us, you can put in the chat, where are you from? Where are you joining from? It's always exciting to see how many people and where are they from, and still excited about Montessori. Welcome, everyone. Welcome, welcome. Wow. So it's about how many of us? I'm admitting more and more. It's 32 of us. Welcome, everyone. Welcome. You are,
I think
yeah, sure.
let's I'll talk faster, maybe or I'll talk too much. So if you are ready, I think we can kick it off.
Okay, perfect. So welcome to the workshop with Amanda on how to start a new elementary classroom. Amanda is an AMI trained guide, elementary guide, who I had the pleasure meeting in person in this September, and I was able to see her beautiful classroom, and I'm so excited she will be able to share her experience with us. She's originally from US, from Idaho, and I'm very excited to have her here. Just to make sure to repeat one more time, Amanda will be talking about for approximately 30 minutes. Then we have an Q&A section. Please make sure you put all of your questions in our chat. I will be gathering them, and at the end of Amanda's speech, we will go back through the questions. So, Amanda, the floor is yours. Welcome again. It's great to see you and have you here.
Thank you very much for the introduction. And thank you all for choosing this breakout session. I know there were a lot to choose from. I will let you know I am much better with children than adults, so excuse me if I trip over my tongue. Also, the kind of you'll see the start of our slideshow is kind of building work habits, but this is really kind of thinking about opening up our a new classroom and what to do when the students are new, when you're new, or even at the beginning of the year, you're coming into maybe an established area. How do we build that community that we talked about with Kyla and Carla, and how do we start off on a strong foot? So, to kick us off, I wanted us to really think about this quote, and I'll read it, even though you can read. There's a great sense of community within the Montessori classroom. There's respect for the environment and for the individuals within it, which comes through the experience of freedom within the community. So when we are thinking about the students that we are going to be welcoming into our environment, we're thinking about that second plane child who is discovering their place outside of the family. They deserve a space that lets them have ownership, that gives them the familiarity and comfort of their home, and is also filled with respect as they are now going outside of building themselves and their understanding of self to how do they belong and how do they work with others. Um, if you have had training, you might know and see something familiar. We're really going to return to in our environment in Montessori, we really think about these three kind of pillars. We talk of the triangle as the great constructor because it builds all of our other shapes. So we want to really think about the prepared adult, the prepared environment, and the prepared child for how we're going to be successful in our work in Montessori. So when we think about the prepared adult, I'll tell you a little bit about me. So I was originally a traditional teacher. I knew I wanted to be a teacher from a young age, and I burnt out really quickly in the traditional system. I left for a private sector where, funny enough, I was still a teacher. I was still training people how to use resources. And during this time, I found that while adults were great and technology is interesting, I missed talking about the world and talking with children. So I found an AMI program in Prague, and it was with my cohorts who I learned about the method with that I created a real sense of community. And we went through the same process that a student does coming into our environment. From my training before I got my diploma, I was hired to work in a 6 to 9 environment in Izmir, Turkey, where once again I was going to be an immersion language, speaking a new language. And this environment had so many materials and the most beautiful campus and space. And I had to go in and make some hard choices of what material do I want in here? What material is not appropriate for me and for my students? Visa issues had me go transition to a job in an established classroom in Idaho, where I was a kind of co-teacher in the 6 to 9 and as well as the 9 to 12. This environment, I'm not the lead teacher. I had to adapt, think about what's working, and then with fresh eyes, how can we adapt? And then finally, I landed in Vilnius, where it was a brand new building, brand new materials, and we grew so fast we had to move buildings. So we had experience setting up another environment. So I've had a lot of a lot of intense practice in the past few years, and it's taught me a couple lessons to share with you. And the first thing is when we're thinking about the adult and how to prepare yourself, there's so much we can do, but I want to talk about a couple key things that we can highlight on. And when we're thinking about this, it's really important that, we are setting up clear expectations and why you have these expectations, because we all know that when we have people coming in to observe, when we have parents asking, if they can do something outside of our norm, if you have assistants or specialist teachers who are coming in who are not trained, you really have to be secure in your why, or those days when you're burning out and you just want to be able to let things kind of go sideways. You have that why and you have these kind of guideposts in mind that are going to help you succeed. So the first thing we want to think about preparing yourself is transitions. When students are working with material, they get into that flow state. When they've built that concentration, the work cycle is not where kind of conflict or friction arises. And you might like things to look a certain way. So sitting down before the year starts and really thinking about those moments of how do I want kids to come in the door? Do I really have time to be kind of standing at the door and greeting every child? Or I know that's an important connection time. What can it look like? So, really thinking about how do we start the day? How do I have a work cycle? We're not so much the 3 to 6 environment where we come to circle all the time, but maybe at the beginning months, you really need that circle as the kids are learning how to do grace and courtesy, how to pick the material. What does it look like when they go to lunch? Is my classroom huge and wide open? And if they want to go to lunch, can they run to the other room? Where are we working? And how do we go outside? How do we get dressed? How do you go to the bathroom? These all feel really small things, but these teeny tiny moments build up. I am a more relaxed person. My assistant is really structured. That dynamic of what her expectations and what my expectations are for transitions can't be made clear if we're not thinking about those moments. And if we don't talk about that, which leads to our next moment, the team, then kids are smart. They know Amanda's going to let us, kind of run. She believes in that energy getting out. If we talk to our other teacher, maybe she has stronger expectations. I want to run. I'm going to ask Amanda to do this. So really focusing on these transitions. So I'd ask you to kind of think and reflect for you right now, what's a moment when the class gets really loud for me? I feel like my kids aren't focused. It's hard for my kids to pick new work. Think about that transition time. Um, it will really aid us. Transitions also are that great opportunity for grace and courtesy. We're supposed to be a busy beehive. There's supposed to be noise, but is it a noise of students doing their work, or is it a noise of anxiety where they're not sure what they should be doing or what happens next? This leads to the team, like I said, is every adult should have the shared expectation and they should be working together to protect this work habits in the classroom. Again, if we have these different expectations, because you haven't sat down and put them on paper or had the discussion, how students act when they're with one adult can look vastly different when they're with another adult. And you want to help the kids know this part of the safety net is that our expectations are consistent. You know that you're going to behave in a consistent way. It's also really important when you're preparing yourself to think about how do I want to be supported? When we work with our assistants, we may think, what role do I want my assistant to have? What material do I want them to prepare? If I'm frustrated with my assistant, think about this. This is invisible work that we're modeling for our students. How are we going to show them how to deal with conflict? It's also an opportunity to offer how we care for the people that are important to us. Do we make coffee or tea for them in the morning and show the kids that we greet them and work with them in this positive way? Um, so it's really important that the team is a united front. We use common language. There's common signs that we can talk about so that everybody is getting the support in the same way. This leads to communication. Parents are another key part. And again, like I said at the beginning of this conversation with you, I am much better with students than parents, but parents are essential. So how do we engage with them? It's also a great way to protect your self-care because parents are very interested and want to support their child. They want to know what's going on. And often our classrooms can feel like black boxes. One of the things that I did to help set myself up for success is I planned parent education nights. Once a month, an opportunity for parents to come in. I show a material. We talk about how this material is kind of used in the classroom or in the broader, like across the topic of math. And then I have parents help me create a material. Then they feel like they are a part of this community as well. One thing that we talk about with parents is we are available for them to come in and observe. We just need that communication. It's not going to be always available, but open up. It can often feel like you're being, kind of put on the spot, put in a test. And a great way to think about this is what am I comfortable doing? Am I comfortable sending out a text message every day? Do I want to send individual emails? And then being consistent with that so parents really feel how you're communicating. And then kind of the last area of preparing yourself is how do you plan? And this ties it back into our team is what are your strengths? I'm really outdoor oriented. I love going to garden time with the kids and being really physical and having them climb trees and flipping them. I like to listen to music. So our class has created a classroom playlist that when this music comes on, they know what we're supposed to be doing. How are you going to follow up? How are you planning for that? At the beginning of my year, there's my whole albums are spread out and things are spread out. So it can get really overwhelming really quickly. And as Nina was talking with the curriculums, those are really helpful. So that not all of us have those. So sitting down and thinking, what are my passions that I can share? What are my strengths? And starting your year off with some of those strengths to help really solidify those kind of early days of learning how do we work because if you're passionate the children feel that passion, and that's a great way to start. I included just a couple screenshots of documents that I use and they're only a small limited. I like to think of my year in kind of blocks, quarters or trimesters. So I create a sheet and I lay out what are kind of going to be my core focuses for the first 3 months. I break it down further into what are some competencies based on the national standards and how can I work with the math album to help meet those standards. And then I do create for me and my assistant a weekly kind of my lessons, her lessons, and materials we need to prepare. You have to find a way that works for you. And I remember in my training when we were told, find a way that works for you. I was like, great, can you give me something to start? I hop on Canva a lot because I like pretty things. I like color coded things. I like to switch it up. And the last thing for kind of preparing yourself is you have to be flexible. When things aren't working, it is not, it's nothing to take personally. We have a growth mindset that we want our kids to use. We use it. So, this has come over a long list of planning materials, but it is a key part before coming in. It's not all about the kids. It's about you feeling prepared and ready. The next step is in our construction of a great first environment, beginning the community year, is our prepared environment. So again, as I said, I have been lucky enough to prepare 3 separate environments. So in Izmir, Turkey, again, we came from a very well-stocked kind of back catalog of material. We had a lot of shelves, we had a lot of material, we had a lot of extra, duplicates because we wanted kids to be able, but we had to really stop, sit, and think, what is it that will make our classroom open and inviting? It was more overwhelming to then come to an environment where we had nothing. Everything was in a box. I had to throw away all the paper, and those empty shelves were staring at me, and we had parents night coming up where everybody was going to see our classroom and what were we going to put on these shelves. And then moving into this third environment, I feel very lucky in that we had these wide open spaces and I knew what material to put on the shelves because I had been in the classroom. And so to give those of you who have not yet had that chance or who are looking at your classroom with kind of a discerning eye, in the environment, these are kind of the key areas that I think about because, like we said, the kids need the chance for ownership, familiarity, and respect. So when we look at the material, we have limited material so that students practice that grace and courtesy of taking turns, that they work together with each other. But one thing where you can have conflict is if there's a material on the shelf that you're not ready to give to your students. Maybe you're not confident in it. Maybe you know that putting those 2 centimeter cubes out is just going to lead to building towers, and that's the only work they're going to choose, or the archwork is going to be the only choice. We do want to respect the children's choices, but you you should feel comfortable with it, with space in the shelf. You really want the students to use material properly. And then remember that there's space to rotate things in and out. It's more consistent than a toddler's environment or the CASA, but we want to be intentional with what we're putting out. And if you're not ready to present the decimal checker board, it's probably not a great idea to have that out. Or the decimal board with that shiny crown. It draws interest, but just like that smallest pink tower cube, it also finds its way into pockets and think, is this a battle I want to fight or a boundary I want to have at the very beginning of my year? I think about the stationary area as the water cooler of a workplace. Kids need pencils, they need colored pencils, they need paper, and they need this moment for connection. So I really recommend that you really think about where is this water cooler moment? Is it somewhere that's going to be in the middle of my room where everybody can gather so I can observe them? Is it tucked away in a corner? So if students have a piece of work that they're not happy with and they want to throw away and they need to get something new, not everyone's eyes are going to be on them as they're going to get it. So really thinking about this kind of opportunity for connection. And then thinking, how are we going to sharpen these pencils? Who's responsible for this at the end of the day? Who's responsible for cutting? If I'm going to have three different sizes of paper on the shelf, who's cutting all of this paper? Is this something that the students can do? Um, this kind of water cooler moment leads me to meals. In my dream space, in my dream world, I would have one long table where we all sat at family style. I have not quite encountered that space, and space is the limiting factor for all of us. But one thing that's really important for these meals is it set up for the kids to serve themselves? Is it set up for them to interact with their peers in a positive way? Um, when we have this unstructured time, it's really important that the visual cues are much stronger because we want the kids to move comfortably, freely, and safely in this space. And sometimes when we're beginning our year or beginning an environment, we're so focused on the work cycle and those 3 hour work cycle. How are we going to make sure I give the kids all of the lessons that they need? But these, again, these kind of third spaces, these third times are really key to think about. So I encourage you not to forget them. And then for your environment, do you have a spot for community? Is there a spot where if your classroom, if your beehive gets too loud, is there a place or something that a child who prefers quiet can utilize? Is it cozy? Is there a place where students can add to the environment? Have you created a space where they can hang up their work, or is it kind of like a museum where the things are to be looked at? That doesn't give the child a sense of ownership. This is where you can think about what kind of pets am I willing to have or can I care for? Do I have a reading nook where it's really cozy and comfortable to read and people aren't going to ask you to read out loud to me? When our space is not being used for the work cycle, do I know how to be in my classroom, not using the materials and treating it with respect? Have you built in kind of opportunities for this? One way that we do that is I do have a notebook for the kids for the community where they get to notice issues in the classroom. So we have the problems and I keep a note on this of have we filled up a page? And then the kids come together and think of ways they can solve it. Right now we have a job chart and the kids aren't happy with the jobs that are on the chart and they've put it in the book. So this is something that we're going to come together and they get to solve, which again takes a lot that responsibility and shares it with the students. So coming to our students in the last 10 minutes for you, and our child is really the center. And I want to again bring you to Montessori's own words. Respect all the reasonable forms of activity in which the child engages and try to understand them. This kind of goes back to you preparing yourself and your expectations and why you have them. If you have a student who every morning comes in and they fly through the trinomial cube, they fly through writing 4 letters of cursive in their writing notebook, and they're, speed racing through the material, we want to know why they're doing that. We want to take the opportunity to observe them. If they're taking the 2 centimeter cubes and they're building castles and you're not sure why they're doing that, we don't want to go in and take that material away from them. We want to observe and think, what is it? In my classroom, it was the kids really thought it was appealing and they didn't know how to use it. And that didn't stop them from getting the material off the shelf. So it was then my job to say, well, my expectation is they use material off the shelf properly. I haven't given them the tools to do that. So I either need to remove the material from the shelf or I need to get with it and find the presentation that will appeal to them. When we think about kids and we think about starting a new community, we can actually think about all team built up. Some of you might be familiar with this. It was made by a man by the name of Tuckman back in the 60s. And it's kind of a theory on all team building. We can also really see Montessori's observations of the human tendencies and characteristics for communication, gregariousness, movement, their orientation, order, work, and exploration as they move through these. So in the beginning stage, as your students come into the classroom and the environment for the first time, they're with these new students and new adults. They're in this forming phase where they're finding order, they're getting oriented, they're being acquainted with their new classmates, they're learning the rules, they're defining how they'll work with each other, they're establishing their goals for the classroom. And this can be exciting and it can be anxiety inducing. And so we have to respect that the child is going through a big work just coming into our environment. We're not like a traditional school where the expectations and routine can be really sorted out quickly. There's a lot of independence and choice in this forming stage as they kind of deal with this relational interactions. The forming stage is always followed by a storming phase. We are trying to decide, um, are we in conflict, in competition? What's my boundary? Can I get away with things? Who do I like in this classroom? Can I be the leader? Again, this is that kind of flock instinct. We're forming a group. We're exploring what role you want to take on. And this age, we have kids starting to compare themselves to each other, to the adults around them. So don't feel bad if you enter this storming phase. Know that it's normal. This phase after typically is the norming phase where we've agreed on our rules. We have a shared norms. We're, repeating if you have a class motto, kids really fall into if you've provided them a secure space, their expectations and their roles and their individual goals. And then they're able to perform. That's when you see that beautiful flow state of the work cycle. Have cohesion. The adult doesn't have to be supervising every interaction. It is also important to know that in teamwork, these phases can be interchangeable. So you can go from performing to storming again with the addition of a new child. It can also be, someone loses a tooth and they've gained new status, and all of a sudden we're storming again. So respecting this kind of natural dynamic between teams is really important as you're thinking about these children. We want to remember the key component of freedom and responsibility. Many times, Montessori is viewed as this environment where it's free choice. How are you going to make your kids work if they can do anything they want? And remember that I like to say it more that it's freedom with responsibility. We talk with our students a lot that they get choices, but they are accountable and we are accountable. And if they can't make a responsible choice to themselves, to their peer group, to material, that we're going to have to help them make a responsible choice. That freedom comes with expectations. And this is invisible work that adults are doing that kids don't really know. So we try to make this apparent to them. When they're, getting in that questioning stage of why, is it always true? We talk about areas where we made maybe an irresponsible choice in our own life. And we also want to give them the opportunity to feel those natural consequences. In our classroom, we really talk about, we walk, we have these beautiful wooden floors that socks love to slide across. And I can say, 1,000 times a day, we walk in our classroom. We walk in our classroom. It would be very bad if we were running because we could slip and crack our head open. Um, we have similar things with chairs. Kids are tipping. I tipped on my chair when I was a child. We have the conversation with them. And at some point, you do have to give them the freedom to learn what that natural consequence is. It can hurt. We're there to help them solve the issue that may arise from that, but it's part of their development of their self. So remembering that kind of key element and respecting the child's autonomy. When we talk about the material that I work with, I often tell parents that our goal is mastery, not memorization. Um, and and for their behavior, I often like to remind myself that our goal is to create critical thinkers, not compliance for compliance sake. So to kind of end, I did just want to share because I know a lot of that is kind of theory and you think that's nice, but how do we really get this community going when we don't know where to start? So I wanted to quickly talk about some tricks that I put in my back pocket to encourage this kind of development. So the first thing is music. So if you took training and you got the clapping charts, I'm going to tell you those are magic. When we clap a rhythm, I clap, you clap, it gets the room silent very quickly. It's also really fun and a way to play games. Like I said, we have a playlist where the kids get to select a piece of music, or we have a class playlist that I think has 75 songs on it. The kids, when we are listening to it, get so excited. Who picked this song? Who picked this song? I love this song. Music is a universal language. It's a beautiful way to connect. And so this is a great one. Also, when we do have to have a circle moment, I do a bim boom or clapping games like bim boom, bitty bitty boom. I don't say it's time to be quiet. I just repeat it over and over. At the beginning of the year, I have to sing by myself for about 4 rounds. As now in the year, the kids join in, they do the rhythms with me as we go on. It's really great to be going out early and often. In my environment, we go out every Friday. As of right now, it's not something that the kids are planning themselves. It's a goal of where I'd like to get, which is another reminder that you don't have to be perfect right away. But going on community hikes, going out, showing that there are things outside of our classroom for us to discover and we'll help you discover them. It also gives them practical skills like riding the bus, being polite when we're out there. And, on the other side, it really helps draw them to you. They trust you as the adults, because you're the person that's familiar to them. Even if you're going out the first Friday, okay, I've seen this adult. I've been with them for 4 full working days. I guess on Friday, if we're in a strange place, I sure can trust her. So giving this kind of opportunity to be outside their normal environment, is really helpful. Collaborative art projects. I like to do an art where everybody gets the same line. It has a specific name. I don't know it because I learned it a long time ago, but you have like one shape on the page, and the students get a pencil and 30 seconds to add to it, and then we pass it on. At the end, we share what we've created after everyone's added to each drawing and they've made something and they can tell a story about it. And they normally create really silly things and they can laugh about it. To decorate our environment, we also do kind of more serious art that you might find in your art album, or take those moments to create a mural or things that they can display where it's not one person's piece of work, but it's our work as a group. And I try to do some form of collaborative art at least once a month. If you go online and you pick some icebreakers, I'm going to tell you they work gangbusters to help get the kids. It's also great grace and courtesy. We have kids choose their favorites, my favorite, or either ors. This can really break up the groups and have them mixing. So if you have two students who, they've been in that storming phase, they're really butting heads, but they both love Star Wars and their favorite character is Luke. Well, I'm going to ask a Star Wars question that's going to get them in the same group and maybe ask questions that are getting them in the same group over and over again. And they start to see, oh, I have more in common this with this person than I thought I did. It also opens up kind of silly ways for you to share when you're not sure how to share about yourself. And then the last thing is I always have a gratitude circle. It's something that's really important to me at the very end of the day before they leave. I want our kids to be kind of grounded and to be kind of reflective on the day that they had and to take that time to listen to each other. And so we sit in a circle and we say what we're grateful for the day. As the year goes on, to keep them on their toes, we turn it into a compliment circle where they compliment a classmate on work that they have done or something that they notice them doing for that day. And sometimes, if we really want to push it, we have been saying what I practiced today, and things that they take pride in because it's important to be proud of yourself too. This is an opportunity for kids to share about themselves in a neutral moment. Um, I talked at you a lot. I'm going to turn to some questions if you have any. Um,
Amanda, thank you so much. We have here several questions. Really wanted to thank you and ask my first question. When I was visiting Vilnius, your classroom, you mentioned that to build the community, really the silent journey was a breaking point for your parents or parents interested in your in your classroom. Can you tell us more about the silent journey or organize?
Yeah. So Indra is my administrator, and she has been doing the silent journey with our sister school in Conus for many years. And it's held at the beginning of the year. And what it is it's an opportunity for parents to observe kind of the growth of all environments and to kind of see the way that we're working. Um, for me, it was a really great opportunity to build the connection with parents, in that they get to see familiar material throughout kind of three separate stages. But then specifically when they're in our classroom, we have a lot of parents questioning, why does my child not memorize these math facts? Wouldn't it just be easier for me to know these math facts right away? And in the silent journey, we do kind of pick the checkerboard or racks and tubes, or we pick a different base number to show kind of where we'll lead the children and why we focus on this mastery versus memorization. The silent journey, I really encourage you. It's not something unique to us. It was developed by a woman in the States. But this opportunity for parents to come in, to use the material, to really slow down, um, kind of gives them they put themselves in their child's shoes, and it helped kind of stops a lot of questions before they are asked and then helps them think in a more Montessori way because we also introduce the characteristics and the tendencies that are we're really familiar with, but that are kind of different to parents.
Amanda, thank you. There is one more question about the silent journey, which is, do you do silent journey for parents who are only thinking to join your community, not yet the members? So for the outside
Our
help.
silent, yeah, our silent journey is actually currently only for parents in our community. Um, One of the things that's important is we want it to not be like a show. We have open doors day for parents who are not yet part of our community. I believe that I see Florian asked a question. We have about 20 parents in at a time. One of the constraints for that is kind of the size of our spaces. And then you want to make sure during the silent journey that in each environment, every parent has the opportunity to receive a presentation from the teacher. So there's command cards that kind of lead the parents through other activities. But that presentation where you pretend they're a child, if you've been to training, you kind of put yourself in those shoes. And then instead of explaining this is how the material works, the parents really experience how the material works. So it's really important that that number is not a set number, but it's more based on what number can you and your team accommodate so that every parent who participates is able to receive a presentation at every level.
Wonderful. There was one simple question. How big is your classroom right now?
Yeah, my classroom is right now only 17 students. Our goal is to stick around 25 is the goal that I would like to grow to and that we're aiming for.
Well, great. Thank you. Regarding the planning you showed us, do you do it on a regular basis, like weekly basis or monthly? And I would like to also ask if you use to track your students' progress and records, if you use any publicly available platform for that.
Ah. So our school does use Montessori Workspace as a way to kind of track and communicate out with parents what presentations their students have had. Um, in terms of my planning, it's every year I get a little bit more organized, which is great. At the very beginning of the year, what I do every year is I sit down with my albums and I write the title chapters, and kind of like you saw the mind map that Kyla and Carla made, and a little bit as Nina showed. I create for myself the kind of mind map of each of the subjects and the things that come to my mind first, those kind of the presentations and subjects. I know that that's kind of what I should maybe start my year with because that's what's top of mind, that's what's strongest to me. I then go into, and it's multi steps and it does take time. So I do recommend starting this before, the week before you're supposed to be getting your classroom ready. And I plan out the content blocks. So then I kind of put those chapters into blocks. You think about for botany, are we going to really study flowers in January? Probably not. So kind of thinking about what are those big cultural things that we might be studying? What is nature showing me that would be an opportunity to study? Um, I then again go to that kind of second document we saw in there where I plan out the standards again in kind of 3 months blocks. I like to think, where do I want my kids at when we leave for Christmas break? I want to know, where do I want my kids when we leave for spring break? And then at the end of the year, what's kind of my goal? And then I take all of that and then I try to plan a month at a time. So I've taken those big chapters and I've broken down all the presentations that I want to give, and I think this is kind of going to be my focus for this month. What does that look like this month? What presentations can I give? What presentations can my assistants give? What are the follow-up work opportunities? Um, I want to be very clear. I plan for a month, and very often the Wednesday of the week, I go, okay, the students have chosen something else. I need to go back to my plans and see what is appropriate to pull up and present earlier than I had planned on it. What did I think my students were going to be ready for? They missed and I pull in. So planning is really tricky, but that's kind of how I do it. And then at the end of the month, I kind of think, okay, this is everything we actually covered in the month of October. This is where it's going to lead me in November. And to kind of see that lead, I go back to that original planning document. It does, it's a lot. It sounds like a lot. It is a lot, but it's really worthwhile to kind of return to those documents. I saw a question just pop up. My chat's open. How much time do you plan for the presentations and how much time do the children have left on their own work? In our classroom, so it's really important that we give space for the students to work in that 3 hour work cycle. Um, my goal is my presentations should last 15, at the long side 30 minutes if they really need a lot of scaffolding. My students receive two presentations. We plan for two presentations a day. And then we do throughout the week we bring in those different subjects. They typically get a math or a language every day, or they know the expectation they're supposed to work with that. I'll add that in as I tell my kids that at the beginning, I expect them to do a math work, a language work, and choose another subject. Like they're expected to at least do three works. As my students get older, I tell them we start building if you're doing um, 17 works a day and you're writing in your journal 17 works, reflect. Did you really choose work that was making you think, or were you writing things down on a list to write things down on a list? So I would say in general, the students have about 2 to 2.5 hours of their own kind of work cycle if it's been a 15-minute. And then my assistant and I are kind of always eyes up. Is there a student really wandering? And I always am ready to give kind of an in the moment presentation if they've been having a hard time selecting work.
Thank you so much. I would love to go back to Anna's question. What if the child chooses activities that are not in accordance with the lessons plan or for a long time?
Yeah. So, again, this is where we kind of are using those kind of 10 to 15 minutes of observation for a day, and kind of seeing what are they choosing instead. Um, Often, we say it in the CASA quite a bit that the student chooses work and repeats work that they need. That's fulfilling some need within them. And oftentimes, as elementary teachers, we kind of forget about that, or there's like a shift away because we know the level they're supposed to be reaching. We know parents are saying, "Why doesn't my child know how to do this?" And we can get caught in that loop. So if you're noticing a child really not choosing work that you know that they're capable of, I call them my special buddy. My special buddy gets to come to every presentation that day. And if they go, "Why I want to do my own work? Why can't I do my own work?" We're saying, "Oh, well, I've been really noticing you're not really picking a lot of work of lessons that I've been giving. So I thought maybe you needed some new lessons." And they go, "No, no, I was picking work I wanted." And then you can have that conversation. "Oh, well, what work have you been doing?" "Oh, I've been drawing all the types of cars that I've seen on the road." And you're like, "Oh, okay. That's kind of nice that you're drawing, but how can I make this Montessori? What can we do? Can I show you how to do graphs?" Or you can talk to them about why are they choosing the work they're doing? And then can you tie it into some sort of presentation? If they're really not choosing the appropriate, this is when individual meetings are really helpful where you sit down with them. My students, I write goals. They have goals. If they can come up with their own goals, that's great. If they're not sure what their focus is on for the week, I help them come up with those. And those individual meetings help them start to develop that will where they see what's appropriate work in this classroom and what's maybe appropriate work for after school or at home.
Thank you, Amanda. There's Akila asking, can you please share a few insights on how important is the uninterrupted morning work cycle for children? Because sometimes my children spend a lot of time in the morning preparing snacks for others and involving in different activities like that.
Yeah. So the uninterrupted work cycle is really key. We want to give children that long extended amount of time to get into flow. But again, when we think about respecting the child's choices, preparing a snack for your community is not only really great for that third kind of social development for a student, but think about the benefits of the fine motor work. So your kids who are struggling with handwriting, the chopping of vegetables is really important to them. One of the ways that I handled this is we have a job chart so that two kids are responsible for snack for the full week, and then the next week one child moves away, so the one, and then another child jumps in. So one is an expert, one is learning. So, we can kind of speed up the process because it can last a long, long time. But so we make that a job so that it becomes this is a responsibility for my class. I have this opportunity. I know I'm going to get the chance to do this again. So it doesn't feel like, "Oh, Amanda always gets here early. She always gets to make snack," or "I need to be here because I need a moment of connection." For our classroom, one of the ways that we kind of manage this, with the holiday season coming up, is our doors open before our work cycle starts. So kids can start coming at 8, and then we start the work cycle at 9. And in that 8 to 9 time, students can pick work, but they like material work. But it's also an opportunity to have that social component. For the holiday season, this is when we're going to do like the holiday decorating crafts activities. They can do that. You can have Sudoku, you can have snack preparation. You can have maybe you do your job time the morning, the day after. So this kind of community time, think of it in the same way that we think of in the CASA. These kids are choosing this work and they're doing it for a reason. what is that purpose and how can I help meet that?
Amazing. Thank you. There's one more question from Florine, which I really like. How often do you observe your classroom while not doing anything else?
Every day. I spend 10 minutes every day observing the kids. And my assistant does this as well. I had a partner teacher who I went to my training with who said she really knew she had established her environment when she could step away for 10 minutes to make a coffee and the class wasn't, you know, where's my teacher? Where's my teacher? Um, for my students, set up the expectation. I told them when we talk about my work all the time. When they're asking me for help, when they're saying things, I say, you have to do your work. I have to do my work. Right now I'm doing my work that's observing. So every day I have a black notebook. I told the kids, this is my observation journal. It's my job to kind of see what you guys are doing and see where you may need lessons. During this time, I'm not available to answer questions. I'm not available to help you. Something we say in my class a lot is I ask, how many hands do I have? The kids answer two. What are my hands doing right now? And this works for anywhere I go. But I observe every day and I ask my assistant to observe every day. And the kids know that and they respect that because we've really set that up for them. And the kids have the opportunity to observe too. We do a grace and courtesy. We have a fish in the classroom, or if they want to observe other students' work, they might not write what they're observing because that can get dicey pretty quick. But we talk about what does it mean to observe someone's work. And it gives you lots of key insights. And it's hard to do at the beginning. I really respect that, but it's something that I've made a priority in my environment. And then it also helps when you have guests come in to observe, when you have other teachers coming in to observe, when you have parents coming in to observe. The kids no longer kind of put on a show because they're observed by their teacher. This is something normal. I want to know how they work. Other people want to know how they work.
Thank you so much. Sigira is asking, we are creating a multilingual classroom, and I'm thinking, would it be smart to have an English, like a second language speaking teacher who also understands the language children speak?
Yes, I would say yes. It is a real, I mean, it's created a real need and a real drive. My assistant joined me in the middle of the year last year. I was alone, and that kind of moment created a real bonding opportunity for me and my students, and really created a strong moment where the kids had to speak English, but knowing what the students are saying is really key and helpful. I know in a lot of environments they have the second language teacher. So in Turkey, after I left, the English teacher spoke Turkish, was Turkish, but the kids didn't know that she spoke Turkish. So she was able to communicate in English. They would say things in Turkish, and then she's able to in English redirect the conversation. So if you're looking at hiring, it's always great. But one thing I appreciate when Indra hired me is there's never going to be the perfect person or the perfect situation, or hopefully there is and you find the exact right one, but you have to kind of create a list of what's the key importance that you want. But I definitely think it's helpful to know. I will say I don't know the language. I'm learning. It's very difficult for me. But the kids, they love to teach me. When I try pronouncing things for my emergent readers, they're so happy to get the chance to tell me how to pronounce something with these special letters. They also, my older kids love to tell me, you're missing, Lithuania has a tricky I. They love to have that. So while it's a great thing to have, know that students are adaptable and they can really adjust to many situations if you give them space for it.
Renata would love to kindly ask you to remind us one more time about the name of the theory behind the storming norming stages of
Um,
for your.
it's by I learned this when I studied outdoor education in Norway. And so it's by a man named Bruce Tuckman, and I think it's just called the theory of teams. Um, So I apologize for not having the direct one, but I know that if you put Tuckman in the theory of teams, it will bring you to his research.
Thank you very much. There is one more question from Florine. You said you orientate kids with one math work, one language work, and one other job at the beginning. Do you also have for all kids at the same time for reading, for instance, which is imposed?
I do not. The reason I do not is because some kids enter our classroom not knowing how to read. Some kids don't have a love for reading. Reading is always an option in our class, but there's not a lot of work you can do without reading. You have to read the command cards. If you're working in history, you're reading material. If you're, across the the disciplines, there's reading opportunities. Offering read alouds is a great opportunity. And then kids are always welcome to grab books if they're not reading and look through. But I do not make reading one of those daily activities that they have to do because they're reading in their everyday life around the classroom. We model the love for reading. We do have in Lithuania, there's like books that the national curriculum recommends that students all read at grade levels. And how we have kind of tried to build this kind of love of literacy is we send it home. We ask parents to either read with their child or have their child read alone. And then the children can come in and they make a book report where it's like recommended books. So they kind of get the opportunity to stand up, share about the book, do some drawings, which we all know kids love their free drawing time. And so we have that to kind of inspire the love of reading. And then we model a lot like, oh my gosh, I read a lot and I talk about, oh, I read the best book the other day. Because in the same way that we don't want to, say you have to memorize these addition facts. We want it to be a natural, right? Like, oh my gosh, this math problem's taking me forever. It would be so much easier if I just remembered 5 + 8 is 13. For reading, oh my gosh, I everybody's talking about their books. I don't have anything to say. Maybe I can pick up a book. Or the kid I really want to be friends with, he read a really great book. I'm going to read that book so I can talk to him.
Amazing. Do you have all the materials in the two languages? And if yes, how do you how do
I'm
you
going to
deal
show
with
you.
the space issue?
Uh, of course, now I can't find. I'm too far away. I do, but I rotate it out. So like I have from source to material in Lithuanian and English in two separate ones. And then I thought I grabbed my my version that had it printed on back. Most of what I do, I print and I laminate on both sides. So on one side is the English, and on the other side of the document is the second language. Um, and one of the reasons I do that is our goal here is to also have international students who Lithuanian might not be their first language. And then for me, when I'm working with the kids and they maybe are doing something on their own and they have a question, um, it's not great for me to have to pull out my phone and do a quick Google Translate because I have the Lithuanian material and not the English material. So this is kind of for me, it's on the back where I can, if it's a full text card and not picture card, I can also have it. So that's how we're addressing the space issue is that double-sided print. And it is a pain to laminate and glue, but that's how we solve that.
Thank you. There's one more question from, I'm sorry about the pronunciation, Porabnik. Dear Amanda, you have already shared a lot about yourself. You are truly inspiring. What would you recommend for the beginner? Which trainings are essential for a beginner teacher? If you were to choose Montessori again, how would you approach it?
Yeah. So I was one of the only people in my training cohort who went directly to training before being in a classroom. And so I kind of am in a unique situation in that a lot of my peers had been an assistant in an environment, and I just dove kind of headfirst into the deep end. So, from my perspective, the orientation courses can teach you a lot about the tendencies and kind of Montessori's life. Um, but going to the training course, um, it's like going to university and it's short and intense, but that was really the first place that I got, and that was really great for me. I recommend really if you're kind of beginning and you are not ready to go to training, joining in talks like this, or getting like the Montessori Method is a book that just came out, and it kind of talks about all of the kind of key, I guess not just came out, key kind of ideas and thoughts. Montessori's essays and books are really great, but they're really dense. So I will be honest, I have Indre's read all of them multiple times. I'm just now being able to read Montessori's words from Montessori because I needed it distilled. For me, the training for me is going to the diploma course, which is a time and money investment, I know. But then going to training opportunities. I know MIP has a lot in Prague, but also the Institute in London has a lot of like courses that where with these kind of great minds come and share. It's really is what I'm doing, and it can be a lot. I want to also share out to the other beginners. Um, Finding a community, so talking in your group chat is really great, or if you can find like in your country other Montessori, other practicing, even if you're at different schools, if you have different ideas. When I have a problem, I can go to a chat, and a lot of times there's not actually an answer in the chat, but you get a lot of people saying, yeah, I'm experiencing this too, this is an issue, I'm trying this, let me know if this helps. It's not a perfect answer, but and if you can get trained by Carla and Kyla, I can't sing their praises enough.
Thank you so much, Amanda. We have like 3 minutes to go. I just want to stress that please make sure after leaving this workshop, you go back to the main room. I will put in chat the link back to the main room because you will receive more information about how you can receive the certificates for participation and all the recordings. So please go back. I had one question from Renata, if she can unmute herself and ask the question directly. So we can try, but please feel free to leave already. Amanda, thank you so much. You can say some farewell words as well, but we have like 2 minutes to go back to the main session.
Probably I've been asked to unmute. Am I right?
Renata,
Yeah, you're
Yeah,
good.
sorry. So I fully understand why we cannot all unmute ourselves and talk at the same time when there is so many people. I just want to say thank you to Amanda, because that was very down to earth, very realistic, very connected to the real classroom and all the challenges that we face every single day. So yes, thank you for all this tricks in the back pocket, because I noted out everything, and I know that the clapping rhythms are really useful, and they could get everything back in track. Yes. Yeah, probably we don't have time for anything else. So thank you very much. It was about the work cycle and how you organize that, but apparently you are the lead teacher and there is an assistant. So you are the one who is giving presentations, because it's always very interesting to listen to other people and their practices and systems. And if you do 2 presentations per day with a child, 20 minutes, and you want them to have more than 2 hours and a half during the work cycle,
So
there are
also,
2 people presenting because they're bilingual schools.
yeah.
Most of us work for bilingual schools. So then they get less and less time to work by themselves.
So the two presentations is with me and my assistant. So I see every child. So the way we do it is we see every child every day. Um, I give one, a child gets one presentation from me every day and one presentation from my assistant. I prepare because she's my assistant co-teacher. She's on her way to get her training. I prepare my assistant the week before, after school, or before school, or like through chats of like, these are the presentations I want you to give. Do you have questions for me? And then she goes in. And so it's a lot and it's not perfect, but that's how we honor and respect the work cycle, is because if I was giving two presentations, if my assistant had to give two, you're right, there would be no time for the child to really get into that deep work. So even when we're talking, or if, she's getting ready to do a presentation for a long project, like that needs more time, or the days that we give great, we're done with the great stories for this year, but when we give the great stories and you need more time, we reduce the number of presentations, especially for the younger kids, because we want, or the kids who are working really well, we want them to have that extended time. I try to really honor that every child has at least 2 hours to pick their own work. And so
Yes.
that can even mean in my schedule in the day, me and my assistant, we will say, okay, we're not giving this child this lesson because they're so deep in their work. I'm not going to break that concentration. My lesson can wait.
Yes, I now realize once again that working for a bilingual environment, it can be very challenging because every single teacher has its own expectations and is trying to kind of follow objectives and curriculum. So we double the work and we forget once again this deep work that needs to take place. But anyway, thank you very much for all this. I don't know if there is any way that we can stay in touch because, as you said, community is such an important thing. And at the end of the day, it would be great to keep in touch. So if there is any way that we can keep in touch and there is a way to reach out, that would be great.
Yeah, I'm all for community. I'll
Um,
send.
There
yeah,
will be, I mean, we are all who had joined, we are all part of the WhatsApp group for
great,
all the participants. So you can reach Amanda through there.
fantastic. Thank you very much.
Welcome.
Thank you. That was really helpful. Have a good
Thank
evening.
you. You as well.
Well, I just learned that we are starting at 10 to an hour, so we have like 3 more minutes. If there is someone with some other question, please bring it up. We have 3 minutes to go. I really like Amanda, your note about the meals, and that it's really, really nice and very useful if the children can help themselves serving and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, sometimes the food safety regulations go against it, right?
Yeah, we are very lucky that we don't have that in place yet, because it's a really great moment. And then at the beginning of the year, it's always really special because you have little 6-year-olds who don't, or 5-year-olds we had who didn't feel comfortable serving themselves, and the older kids serve them. It's very sweet. Um,
There's one more question I would love you to answer. How do you teach tech in your 12 to 6 environment?
so for our environment, as of right now, my oldest student is 10 years old. And I think of technology as a material and a tool like the rest of them that is introduced at the appropriate time. For me, kids are getting a lot of device and tech work outside of the classroom. So the kids see us on our computer. Um, we have my phone that does work as translation work. We have not yet encountered this, but my philosophy, and again, I'll be adaptable to change in the future, is not for me. I would like one central computer, and then we treat it like we treat any material in the classroom. There are ways that we can use it. There is one resource, so it has to be shared beyond. And to prepare for the technology, you have to have the kind of discernment. So it's a literacy skill where, if I want to write a book about space travel and I pick a science fiction book, is that going to be the book that I use for writing my report? No, I had to learn about what was trusted and what's good information. How do I use that? And then for like the formatting and things, honestly, the kids are more adept at it sometimes than I am. It's a big conversation. I know I'm kind of evading your question, that we have with parents about what kind of tech do they have at home. Because when they come into the classroom, how are we going to adjust it? One of the other things that I'll say for that technology is I have typed material. I showed you some. And sometimes when I ask kids to handwrite, they go, "You typed it up. Why do I have to handwrite it?" And to them, I say, "It's a fair point. Let's both, you and I, can write the rough draft. And if you can write the rough draft with no mistakes and are ready to type it up, let's have a conversation about typing it." This was last year with a student. They did the handwritten work. It was a big project, big work. They went to type it on the computer. And, we've done some typing skills, but for me, that's something that we're going to introduce uh, at 11, maybe. It was very slow and they were like, "No, I like my handwritten one. It's more beautiful. I had got to illustrate it." That doesn't answer your question completely, but those are kind of my thoughts, and maybe we can revisit it when I'm further in the road, and you can see if I called chicken.
Amanda, thank you so much. There are two more questions, but we really need to run to the main room, so we are not late. I put the link back into also again into the chat. Please, it was a pleasure to have you all here. Thank you for all the questions. I'm sorry we did not have time to answer the two very interesting ones again, but we will be in touch, and please go back to the main room and learn more about the certificates. And thank you for joining us.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Bye bye. You can unmute yourselves now and say goodbye so we know you're leaving. There are only 13 of us, so yeah. Please go and join your the main session.
Goodbye.
Amanda, thank you. Thank you so much.
Goodbye.
Bye bye, Renata. Okay. So, Amanda, if it is okay, I will
And okay.
ask
Thank you, Clark.
Anna Alessandra Melis if you can go back, if you can leave this workshop and go back to the main room, because I will be closing this workshop, so you can join. And me and
Thank you all. I'll
thank you, Amanda.